Live from the broadcast studio at Central Middle School, welcome to the DreamersCLUB podcast. I'm Maya Gwynn.
And I'm Archer. Today we welcome special guests from Mrs. Heather Davis, 7th grade accelerated English class. We'll be talking about civil rights, how to human better, and other interesting stuff. So thanks for joining the conversation.
Now please welcome Miss Davis's 7th hour class and podcast hosts Jay and AJ Webster.
Yeah. All right. Great job. Is that your first broadcasting job ever?
It's your first professional broadcasting job.
No, it doesn't sound like you nailed it. We're so thrilled to be here with you guys. And as you know, you've been reading books on civil rights and the conversations you've been having in class. We love this subject. It's important to us. I guess I want to start with this conversation about why do you think we use the term civil rights? I mean, historically, when this conversation started, we probably could have called it African American rights or something like that. Why do we call it civil rights?
What do you guys think about that? Anyone on our panel? You guys want to get us started?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tucker.
Point that microphone down there. Thank you.
I know, the Civil War kind of started out, and, it started out, so I feel like it, was named after the Civil War.
Okay. Who else?
Anybody else up here? Why do you think we call it civil rights?
Yeah, I think the same as Jeremy, what he said.
Okay, good. Archer, what do you think?
Well, civil means peace and no harm to anyone. So to have rights that are civil, it means no racism.
Oh, okay.
Very good. That's awesome.
Maya, what do you think?
Anybody else?
The civil rights thing may be because they wanted things to be civil between everyone because it was extremely racist against people.
Okay. Do you think there's a chance that what they were trying to do in that conversation, in that movement, was to make these rights about everyone, to say everyone deserves these rights? It's not just African Americans. These are rights that every human in America should have at some level, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of broad that way. So that would apply to the Hispanic culture that would come before them. It applied to the Irish and the Italians that came before. So it's an interesting way of saying these are rights that every American should enjoy in this culture. It's not just about a people group in that way, right? So in a brave way, the African American nation at that time spearheaded that, but they were drawing attention to a bigger problem that we were going to face, right? Yeah, pretty interesting. One of the things, who can tell me that in this conversation, who can give me a definition of a word like sympathy? What's sympathy mean?
I think sympathy means feeling bad for someone or it's just really feeling bad for someone and not wanting to be upset with them or be mad at them or anything like that.
Okay. What else? Anybody else have a definition for sympathy? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Just grab that mic. You got it?
I think sympathy means relating to someone and their feelings. So if they're going through something, you could understand how they're feeling.
Okay. What about the word, there's another word that's kind of related to sympathy. It's called empathy. Does anybody know what empathy means? Yeah. Can you say it real loud? Yeah. So, yes, to me, sympathy is a great word. It's kind of acknowledging how somebody feels, but kind of from a distance. Oh, bless their heart. You kind of have the distance from them a little bit. But with empathy, what's your name? Harper. Like Harper said, empathy actually puts yourself in their shoes. Now I'm thinking to myself, what does it feel like to be them? Why do they have this experience? Why do they have this fear? And so empathy is a really strong word for that, to be empathetic, to put yourself in someone's place. So you can be sympathetic, I think, from a distance, but in this case with civil rights, I think that was our challenge as a nation. What does it feel like to be on the outside looking in? What does it feel like to be marginalized or to be looked down upon for something that, not that you're ashamed of, but you also don't have any control over, right? So have you ever been in a place where you felt like you were on the outside looking in, like you were not a part of the group, or that maybe someone judged you differently?
Yeah, anybody on the panel, and you would get as personal as you want. You don't have to tell specifics. Let me start with a story. I actually grew up in New Mexico, is where my family was when I was about your age. And we were from Oklahoma. And there were at the time, this is a long time ago, but it was a predominantly Hispanic population. And I move in from Oklahoma, and I'm this super white girl. And
You're white?
I am white. I know, very, very white. A lot of sunscreen here, a lot of sunscreen. But it was interesting to be, 9, 10, and to have the experience of being a minority, because most often people that have white skin are the majority in our country. And it was interesting for me, and I felt very different. I felt ostracized a lot of times. I wasn't like the other kids, and it was really hard for me to make friends. Have any of you guys ever had a situation like that? Not because of your skin color necessarily, but just where you felt left out or different, that you would share with us? What do you think? I'm sure you guys, that's never happened to anyone, right? You guys always feel completely accepted. Anybody from the audience? But it does happen, right? Well, let's go this way. What are some things that we can do when someone does feel like they're not accepted, to help them feel more included? Anybody from the panel have any ideas on that?
If someone doesn't feel accepted or included into anything, then offer them or compliment them on something, so that that they like that, because they'll probably compliment you back, because that's just how people have adapted.
That's great. Yeah.
Anybody else on the panel have any ideas? Like ways you can make people feel included?
Something that you could do to make someone feel accepted is to maybe be friends with them and share things you have in common with them, so they feel like they're not excluded, like they have someone that is similar to them.
Right. That takes a lot of courage to do that, though, doesn't it? I mean, sometimes the rest of your group or the rest of your friend group may not want to bring somebody else in or reach out to them. So for you to be courageous and be kind to someone who's on the outside, that's a pretty bold move. Yeah, great. Who else?
Anybody else? Anybody else in the audience have an experience where you were able to help somebody feel included that was maybe on the outside?
Let's go back to this word empathy. So empathy, as we talked about, is the idea of putting yourself in someone else's place. Being empathetic doesn't mean that you have to adopt their viewpoint. It just means you have to put yourself in their place, right? Do you think, as the way that we're living as a country right now, are we a country that's very empathetic, or are we struggling with empathy?
What do you guys think?
Do we work hard to understand everybody else's side, or do we just hold to our own side?
I think we're struggling a lot with empathy because of everything that's went on in just everywhere around here. It's just no one has empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Anybody else on the panel? Do you guys feel like that you see empathy sometimes in our country? Don't worry, you're not gonna get in trouble for anything you say, I promise.
I kind of agree with Maya. I see empathy sometimes, but I feel like not really. It's mainly, I feel like not everyone has empathy.
Right. I think empathy is interesting because as a practice, we want other people to understand our side. So it's interesting when we had the civil rights conversation how much empathy would have helped, it could have helped in that moment. And for us, it's a little bit about one of the biggest tools that happened in the civil rights movement beyond just marches and speeches was really entertainment. Because when the African American population got involved in movies and television and sports and music, suddenly you had to make a decision, right? You fell in love with voices that you didn't know where they came from, Motown music. And you fell in love with music that moved you, and you thought, oh my God, I love this song. And then later on you found oh, that music belongs to someone from Motown music, African American music, and you have to make a decision. Well, do I still hate this person, even though I actually really love their music? Same thing happened in sports. We started seeing athletes that were just mind-boggling athletes, and we thought, oh, okay. And you start seeing people in a different way. You start seeing people in a different light. And that became a really powerful thing in the civil rights movement, to see people in that light, to see people do the things that you love in the process, right?
Yeah.
Can you think of anybody in our current state, our current world, that might be struggling on civil rights in the same way that the African American population did in the 60s?
Yeah. Are there any groups, population groups that come to mind? Yeah, go ahead, Archer. Or we just you're
Just stretching.
You're stretching. I hate it when you get called on and you're just stretching. There aren't any wrong answers today, guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
No tests. Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know any of like present day, but I do know that in Eastern Hemisphere we learned about there's like what was it? Somali.
Okay, Somali.
Okay. Yeah.
They had like a apartheid
Mm.
thing, and like all like the laws and like were like basically the same laws that happened in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and they were about the same time, and it was just different, but also like the same.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's interesting that even though we feel a deep connection to the civil rights fight here in America, we're not the only country to ever go through that. There are a lot of countries that are fighting for civil rights for all kinds of people groups. And depending on if you have money or you don't have money, if you are from one part of the country or you're not part of the country, if you're from one tribe or another tribe, you can be ousted because of that, right? Yeah, good.
Let me ask you guys this. Have you ever had a situation in life where you had a first impression of somebody? Do you know that term, first impression? And you thought, I really don't like them, right? That happens to everybody. We're all human, and you can, for different reasons. But then as you got to know them a little bit better and spent more time, you started realizing that you really had more in common, and there was something. Have you had a situation you want to tell us about it? Here, let me bring the mic out to you. Come up this way. All right, tell us your name, and yeah, tell us your situation like that.
Okay, so my name's Gordon Childress.
Hi, Gordon.
So there's this kid named Noah in my hockey unit. I don't know, it's really weird, but yeah. So he kept fighting other kids, and when I first saw him, I thought, oh, I don't like that guy. He seems like a jerk. But I've been knowing him for much longer because he also helped me coach little kids. Oh, he's actually really nice. He just keeps actually knocking over kids. I thought he was intentionally trying to hit them. No, this guy's actually pretty nice. He gave me a hash brown, so now it's pretty much.
Hey, yeah, the hash brown, that's a peace food right there. Yeah.
He sacrificed food for me.
But that's a great example, Gordon, because if you had stopped at that first impression, you would have missed out on what? The friendship. Right?
Yeah, and the hash brown.
Yeah. You got to keep your eye on the prize, Gordon. Eye on the prize.
Right, so we can change our mind over hash browns.
Why do you think why do you think civil rights were so resisted in America at the time? Why do you think it was such an issue for us? Why didn't the first moment that someone said I wanted to be treated equal, why didn't everybody get on the bandwagon and say, heck yeah, let's do it?
That wasn't how it went down.
Well, of course, like if you were white and someone else wanted to be equal to you, then it's not moral, but it's not inhuman to not want that.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think the leading factor? Why wouldn't somebody want that? What do you think?
What's the main emotion
That gets in the way there?
Pride.
Pride.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good.
Pride. And there's another one. It's an F word.
Excuse me? Wow. I didn't know we were going to go there.
Word.
No.
Yeah. What do you think happens to us when we meet people who are not like us, who have different customs? Yes.
Say it loud.
You're uncomfortable and scared.
You're scared.
Yes.
That's right. You're
Is that what
afraid.
you're gonna say?
Come on up.
Fear.
Fear. That's right.
Right.
The F word.
So fear. So that's another power of empathy is understanding someone's fear, right? So there was a thing, and we still struggle with this in America today at different levels. We have two political parties in America, right? What are they?
Crazy and crazy.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's what?
Democratic and Republican.
Okay. So in both sides, they fear losing their America, right? We're afraid that if we let this people group in or we call these people equal, then we're going to lose the America we feel like we've built, or that our America might change. So this fear comes in, and that's the most natural response to fear is actually anger. When you feel afraid, have you ever been embarrassed or anxious, and then the result of it is you feel angry? or you respond in anger. Well, that's what's happening for us in America now. We have this thing, we're not communicating, we're not being empathetic, we let this fear rise in, and then on top of that, political parties sow into that fear. They encourage the fear. And so we get angrier and angrier and angrier, right? But empathy puts you back in that place. Empathy says, what is this person fearing? Even the people who are mean, like the kid who's the hockey player pushing kids over. What's the motivation here? What's actually happening? So it's easy to hate. I don't have to try to hate. I don't have to try to judge someone. That's an easy, natural thing for me. But being empathetic, that takes time. That takes courage. To try and understand why someone feels the way they do and include them, that takes courage, right? So the resistance to the civil rights was fear. We don't know these people very well. We don't know what's going to happen, and it might take something from us to let them in, right? Yeah.
I asked Mrs. Davis if she had any questions she wanted us to chat with you guys about. And she said, why do you guys think, okay, so the civil rights movement, right, primarily happened, I feel like it's ongoing, but the big crux that we study about happened in the 50s and 60s and early 70s, right? Well, how many years ago is that? Over 50 years, right? Why do you think in 2026 we're still talking about civil rights, still taking time to learn about it? Anybody have any thoughts on why it's important? Gordon? All right. Here, come on up. Let's get Gordon first, and then we'll go to Archer. All right. Gordon's back.
Get it, Gordon.
So it's important to learn about this because if we don't learn about it, we may make the same mistakes again.
Great answer. Good job.
I don't remember where I heard that quote, but it was something.
It's very true.
As long as it went in, that's all good.
Yeah, you would. Okay, go ahead.
If you don't learn about history, you're destined to repeat it.
There you go.
That's
Great
right.
job.
Okay,
Archer?
I mean, I was just going to say the same thing that he did. Like, if you don't know about it or, like, hear about it, like, it's bound to happen again. So that's why they teach it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, from the back. Come on up. Tell us your name. And
Hi, I'm Harper, and like what Gordon was saying about like if you don't learn about it, you're destined to repeat it. And I feel like if we didn't learn about it, that we would still make the same mistakes, not just like with African Americans, but with other people.
So that's a
Absolutely.
that gives us to a great place then. So you've been studying about civil rights. You've seen the mistakes that we made in that process. What are things that we can do? What are things that you and I can do? We can't count on everybody else doing the right thing. We can make decisions for ourselves. What's something that we could do to not repeat the mistakes of the civil rights conflict? Yeah.
come on up.
Let's take the mic.
We got to get some more mics for these podcasts, I'm telling you.
So, my name's Bella, and I think that we just like shouldn't just judge a book by its cover and not think like of first impressions, and we have to know someone before we can.
Okay, so not judge a book by its cover, not allow our first impressions to be our only impressions. That's good. Who else? What's something else we could learn from the mistakes of civil rights that we could do as individuals?
Let's have Maya while she comes back up. Go ahead, Maya.
We could just be nice to everyone, even though like we may not want to. It's doing the right thing over people that don't want to do it, because I know there's at least like a whole group of people that are still like that to this day, that like it's disrespectful and rude.
Yeah, I think what Maya was saying about just being nice, even if you don't really want to be friends with them, it's still important to just be nice, because then they kind of feel welcome, and then they can kind of find their own place and stuff, like even if you don't.
Like Maya was saying, like, even if you don't like them, like maybe you think they're, like, you don't want to be friends with them, you can like try, like
Yes.
talking to them and being friends with them, and then you might end up actually like wanting to be their friend, and then they won't feel like excluded because like how they've been treated.
Absolutely. Remember what we talked about with empathy, that empathy doesn't mean you have to adopt their viewpoint. Empathy just means you understand what they think and maybe why they think it, but doesn't mean you have to take it on. You can be empathetic to someone from a different religion. It doesn't mean you have to convert to that religion. It just means you treat them with respect. You understand why they believe what they believe, why they experience what they experience. Yeah.
So kind of what like Gordon said, like so, just because a person like looks shady or being mean, like they could be having like a bad day.
Yeah.
Or like they just like need someone in their life to be like nice to them or something.
Right. That's such a great example. So, Anjanette and I are married, and when we go to a place or go to a party or something like that, I'm easily intimidated. If somebody seems like they have all their stuff together, they seem like they're really smart, they're really funny, maybe they've got money and all that kind of stuff, that intimidates me. And so my response to that usually is to judge them and also to stay away from them because I don't want to be around those people. And Jeanette's response is completely opposite of that. She immediately goes and introduces herself to that person. It's like prison rules. You know what the prison rule is? You find the biggest person and you just take them out right away.
Yeah.
That's Aunt Jeanette. So she goes and she finds the person that's the most intimidating, and then she introduces herself to them and she makes a friend out of them. Yeah. And then you find out, oh, that person is also insecure. They're also nervous. They just needed someone to make them feel more comfortable.
Yeah,
right?
It's just like Gordon. So what I do, if I'm in a situation where I find like for women, it may be somebody that you think is especially pretty or beautiful or very talented. And so I see them and I go immediately introduce myself. And then what I find out, like Gordon did, I didn't get a hash brown, depends on the kind of party, wow. But is that I find things that we have in common, right? Because we all have things in common. And then we make a friend out of them. I think one thing that we want to encourage you guys to do, a lot of times when you're struggling with someone, and it sounds funny to be talking about civil rights, but then we bring it back to our individual relationships, right? One-on-one, but that's how it is. There's the big problem, and then there's the way that we all treat one another, and that's really the way to make change. But we oftentimes say, ask the why question, right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you guys? If someone is acting a certain way, and they're bothering you, or maybe they're, poking you, or stealing your stuff, or just being annoying, if you can separate yourself out from that interaction, maybe when you get home from school, and put yourself in their shoes, that's empathy. Why does that person keep acting that way? You can either dislike them or you can think, maybe they have something tough going on at home. Maybe they don't have enough money. Maybe they feel really insecure or rejected by a lot of people. And once you put yourself in their shoes and you take a minute to understand their perspective, I am telling you, this will change your life. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you tolerate someone doing bad things, but when they're annoying, you begin to have empathy as to why they might be doing that. And then it makes it easier to treat them better, So what do you guys think, panel? We've got about 5 minutes. You guys are doing great. Anybody else want to come up? All right. Here we go. Come on up. You guys were gappers. Yeah, you guys, it's this microphone cinch. We need about 10 of them. Come on up.
On Wednesday, me and one of my friends got in like a fight, but I called my brother to ask him if he could pick me up, and on the way home, he said that a motivational speaker came to the high school and said that that you don't know what's in other people's backpacks because there could be so many more burdens than you So, yeah.
That's so true.
My brother was at the assembly.
I love the backpack. That's like a good analogy, right? Because a lot of us, that was good. Anytime we come to school or go anywhere, we're carrying maybe trouble that's going on at home or just things, maybe feeling bad about ourselves that day. We all have stuff in our backpack every day. So consider what is in someone else's. It makes it easier to treat them with kindness, right? Okay, who else has a story or idea about that? Yeah, come on up.
So Archer was dropping a lot of balls at recess today.
Okay, Archer. Wow.
So instead of getting mad at him, I thought what it would be like if I was him. Yeah. So I didn't get mad.
Okay. Well,
so you're saying empathy for you is to say, what if I was bad at this game like Archer is? How would I feel?
Archer's not good at sports.
That's very mature of you. That's very mature of you. Well done.
Anyone else?
It was 2 passes.
Any story that's not about Archer? I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Anything?
Okay, here's what I would love for your takeaway to be, because you've really done an amazing job.
You guys are great.
I think this conversation that we hit on earlier about being courageous, it takes courage to stop in the moment and think, why is this person behaving the way they are? What's happening here? How can I put myself in their place and understand either what they're experiencing or what they're afraid of or what it feels like to be them? And that you have to do that intentionally. You have to do that on purpose to live that way. But it will change things for you. And even in the conversations you have, if you have to debate somebody or come up with laws for the country or whatever, understanding the other side will make that process significantly better. Understanding what a person's going through when you're just trying to check out of the grocery store, or what the waitress is going through or waiter's going through at the restaurant. All those things, asking yourself, what is happening for that person, being aware of them, that will change things for you and it will change things for the other person. So take empathy with you when you leave here today, and also take a moon pie with you when you leave here today.
I love it.
Cool?
Yes.
All right.
It takes courage to be kind, but you guys can do it. We know you can.
Thanks for joining us today for the Dreamers Club podcast. Special thanks to Miss Heather Davis and her 7th hour class.
You can enjoy more interesting episodes wherever you find your podcasts.
From Central Middle School Broadcasting, this is us signing out. Have a great day.